A lot of you want to know exactly what's going to happen to the housing market in 2023. Tell me! I get a lot of comments, a lot of DMs of people saying, what is going to happen to the housing market in 2023? Well, I have the answer for you. I'm going to bring in my great friend, the Real Estate Mindset, and we're going to answer that question for you. So let's go ahead and bring them in. So the 2023 crash, guys, is going to happen and it's going to be big. I just want you guys to know that. And I wanted to bring on someone who shares the same views that I know all of you share and can give you the information of what's actually going to happen in 2023. I brought my man on, the Real Estate Mindset. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Orlando. As always, man, you know I'm a huge fan. I have mad respect for your accomplishments, your opinion, and everything you're doing, man. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on today, sir.
Man, no problem, man. First of all, guys, before we even get started, make sure that you actually go over to his channel and subscribe to his channel. He has some fire information, guys. He uploads what, every day? Is that right?
Yeah,
Every day?
it's brutal. It is brutal. Sometimes two a day. Sometimes two a day.
Sometimes two a day. And he is giving the information, guys. So make sure that you actually go over to his channel and subscribe, watch his videos. He gives some great information. But let's jump right into it because everybody wants to know this. What's going to happen in 2023? What do you believe is going to be the biggest catalyst for the housing crash in 2023? Well, before I even go that, do you think the housing market is going to crash in 2023?
I'm going to be honest, Orlando. The housing market is already crashing. Just depending on I mean, you and I are all about local area, local. We can't. I can upload 5 videos a day, and still not everyone is going to get how important your local housing market is. Man, we got 3 metro areas already, which is San Jose, Oakland, and Austin, that are over 50% declined in price. So, here's the thing. It depends on your definition of a crash, right? And I've seen a lot of people hide behind that narrative. But if we say 15% as the bare minimum, people are like, only 15%, I'm out of here. I'm like, I'm just saying bare minimum, like calm down, right? 15% minimum. We already have 3 metro areas that are over 15% from peak in decline. We already have 6 metro areas that are on the year over year price decline list. I think we're already crashing, and I think that in 2023 we'll be past the elections, past the midterms. And I believe there's a bit of data tainting. I think they may come out with Q3 positive numbers for GDP growth, which is, again, it's just kicking the can down the road. It's not taking, it's not becoming accountable for what's really going on. So I think in 2023. It's gonna crash even more. So I absolutely think in 2023 it will spiral out of control. But I'm saying that it's gonna crash in some metro areas even before then, and already is.
And I agree with you on that. I think that it really depends, and we talk about this on this channel all the time to make sure that you have your goals aligned with what your actual plan is. Some people may want to see 10%. Some people may want to see 30, 40%. So it really depends on what's actually happening in your local market, what you actually determine is a crash. But we already know that we're currently right now in a recession. And with you saying like places like Austin and some of these other places already having significant downward spiral, I should say, you would expect that 2023 it's only going to get worse. And in my opinion, I think that that's exactly what's going to happen. Like you said, we get past the midterms, and then everybody's going to turn everything back on. Student loans are going to come back. We'll see exactly what happened in the holiday market. So once all of this stuff gets turned back on, I believe we'll really start seeing how much money the average American has saved in monthly. And I think that's going to be a real teller right there,
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I think the number one catalyst per se, right? Like the biggest catalyst for local market price decline, right? So what's going to be the most important thing? I mean, there's a lot of important things, Orlando. I think new
Right.
construction is super important. I think that, like we've talked about all the time, affordability is a huge thing, right? That's the real problem
Right.
here. But new construction is important. There's so many things that are important. The high migration, investor shares. I think there's so much, but I think the number one
Mm.
thing is going to be unemployment. I think it's going to be unemployment, and I think it's going to, really surround top tech metro areas. I think that's why we're seeing San Jose and Austin, which are top tech destinations, the first to decline. What happened is the job openings hit, a huge migration into small local markets. Investors saw rent shooting up, so we had an additional issue with migration, with investors taking high, shares into that. And so now that we're seeing layoffs already, we've already seen layoffs from these tech companies. We see these markets being hit the first. So I think that the markets with the top unemployment, specifically in high-paying tech jobs, that's going to be the biggest factor in price decline.
Yeah, and a lot of my audience has really been sending me comments and DMs and saying, "Hey Orlando, I'm trying to decide, should I go ahead and decide to go ahead and buy a house, or should I go ahead and continue renting? And if I decide to rent, should I sign a year lease, 6 months,
Uh,
a month to month? What suggestions would you give to someone who was in that position?"
so I am renting right now, as you know. Even though I own real
Hmm.
estate, I'm renting. It's better to own. You just got to own something. I own, but I'm renting. And as you know, I decided to extend my own lease. So the thing is, it really depends on what your extensions takes you to, because I think in 2023 we're going to have, higher interest rates, more unemployment, price decline is going to go down even more. So, really, um, I think that if you can make it to at least this, okay, so just the safest, right? I'm just, the safest bet here. Okay.
Okay.
If you can make it into maybe Q3, if you can make it to Q3 of 2023, I think that's going to put you in the best situation. I
Okay.
plan on purchasing on the end, right outside the end of Q1, which is around
Okay.
February. So it really
Hmm.
just depends on how long you can extend. If you're, but if your lease is up in November or, December, I'm going to just say, rent, and extend it for 6 months if you can make it into Q3. If you can make it into Q3, I think that's going to give you the best opportunity to find deals of our lifetime. If you can't make it
Right.
into Q3, then push it out to 12 months. But I definitely think that if your lease is up this year, you're gonna want to rent, because we need the dust to settle, and the work is not yet done. The numbers that we're seeing are not even taking into account a recession. They're not even taking into account the 7% interest rates. So I think they pause, man. And I think, for a savvy person that's well positioned like me, go for 6 months, right? If your lease
Mm.
ends this year, whether it's September, I mean, well, we're in October now. Man, I've been doing too many videos. October, November, December.
Right.
Go for a 6 month. I did an 11 month in August, so I'm good
Okay.
until June. So I feel confident I'm good until June, and obviously my landlord will accept me to extend again. And here's the other thing, Orlando: if people want
Hmm.
to feel safe, go for 12 months with the understanding you can cancel your lease if you're willing to pay the late fees or the cancellation fee or the remaining part of your term. So be it,
Right.
right?
It may be
I'll
worth
cancel.
it.
It may be worth it. I'll cancel my lease if
Hmm.
I find a deal of a lifetime. So even if I buy before my lease ends in June, I'm still going to buy well before that if I find a great deal.
Yeah, I'm telling individuals the same thing, that it's really based obviously on the individual, but if you
Yeah.
can, you don't want to do month to month. You're gonna pay out the wazoo when it comes to month, and get that premium. Try to do a 6 month lease, like you said. If you can put you to Q3, then you're doing a great job. So I would suggest that you do it that way, and to me, that puts you in the best position to let the dust settle, to let everything kind of fall and kind of you for you to be able to see, because that is really the name of the game when it comes to this housing market. The more you can see it from a bird's eye view and not be so close up on it,
Yeah.
having your
Yeah.
rent about to, I mean, having your lease about to expire, and then you
Yes.
have to buy a house in January. That puts a lot of pressure on you to make the wrong decisions. And so I tell people to avoid that and give you some room so that you can make the right decision that's for you and your family and not do that. But I have a question to ask you since you brought it up, is where do you actually think rates will go?
Okay, so that's a tricky thing because it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
100% depend on the Fed. We know by now that the Fed could literally take us to 8% tomorrow, and they could take us to 6% tomorrow. Like what the Fed does really, really matters, right? I mean, it really matters, man. And
It
I don't know
does.
what, and we know one thing about the Fed: they don't stick to the plan. Never ever stick to the plan.
Never,
So,
never,
I mean, they're
never.
already in the sevens. They're already mid sevens. I think
Right.
we're going to touch 8. I think we're going to touch 8. I've always kind of thought that we're going to touch 8. I didn't think we were going to
Right.
touch 8 this year initially,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying we're going to touch 8 this year. And I think that's going to be kind of the new normal going into 2023. There'll be small fluctuations, maybe slightly up. But I think we're going to be in a 7-8% interest rate environment. And hopefully it will last to the end of 2023. I suspect that is when the Fed will pivot, even though they said they're going to make it into 2024. I don't think they make it that long. I think they start pivoting because of elections right around the corner, personally.
Now, explain to my audience exactly what you mean by pivot. What do you, when you say pivot, what do you actually mean by what the Fed is going to do when it comes to
So
that?
specifically what I'm saying by pivoting is right now the Federal Reserve is doing quantitative tightening. They're taking
Mm-hmm.
money out of the economy. They're raising interest rates. They're trying to cripple unemployment. They're taking it out on
Right.
employees. They're taking it
Mm-hmm.
out on households. Like people, I'm trying to
Yes.
explain, like, y'all, like this is hurting us. That's why I'm saying stay ahead of the inflation, stay ahead of the unaffordability, be an asset. At your company. But when they pivot, what I'm talking about is just ease up. They're going to ease up, and probably what they're going to do, Orlando, this is what I suspect. That
Okay.
tightening that they're doing right now is going to be an overcorrection. There's going to be an overcorrection. Once the emotion hits, it's going to be out of control.
Mm-hmm.
The market's going to be out of control. Once that fear is in there will be an overcorrection for many metro areas. So when that happens, the pivot is quantitative easing. The same thing
Ah,
that got us into
that
this
got us into the.
situation is what they're going to do. They're going to do, I think the pivot is they're going to go back to quantitative easing. They're going to drop the federal funds rate. Rates will be lower. Businesses will be able to breathe a little bit, right?
Right. Right.
And they're not going to attack us. The question is going to be is how messed up will the economy be by that time, and how quickly will we be able to rebound from a pivot, right?
Well, here's the thing. Someone asked me that question in my comment section about do I think that the Fed is going to pivot? And of course, they will have to pivot at some point. They're not going to be this aggressive forever, right? But the question is when are they going to pivot? Are they going to pivot, beginning of the year? Is it going to be third quarter, quarter 3, quarter 4? I don't know when they're going to pivot, but I can tell you this. The Fed has already said, and you can go look at videos where the Fed is saying that we will do anything that we possibly can to destroy inflation, to bring inflation back down to that 2 to 3%. And remember, we're at 8.3% right now. And so they will do whatever they possibly can. That includes soften the labor market. That includes destroying values when it comes to homes. They will do anything that they can because they have to get rid of inflation. So if the Fed is telling you this, that they will do whatever they have to do to cripple inflation, you have to be ready. You have to be ready for the downturn to happen and to unemployment, to jobs, deciding to get, you have to be ready for jobs to get ready to start laying off people. And we've already seen it. Facebook, 15% of people they got rid of. And then you have to look at Ford. They're doing the same thing. Tesla is doing it. Everybody is seeing the writing on the wall, guys. And so it's super important for you guys to follow videos like this, follow Real Estate Mindset, to look at our videos and say, okay, I know what the plan is. And so when it comes to the pivot question, it just really depends on when the Fed is going to pivot and how much destruction is going to happen before they pivot.
Yeah, right. And can they even, I mean, in-house, it's going to spiral out of control at some point. And that's usually when they take action. You know, it's like, okay, we're in a crisis, so now let's do something about it. And that's why I'm so frustrated. It's like, you know, I think a lot of this could have been avoided, you know, had they started in 2021, but it is what it is, man. And I hope people are really listening to what we're saying, which is, you know, we don't want to be repetitive here, but we're saying, you know, three main things, you guys, you know, look at your credit leverage, which is most Americans' credit income assets. Increase your credit, understand utilization ratio, save more money. How do you do that? Understand how you spend, download apps so you can do that. Employment. Okay. A lot of people are, what do we do? Employment, become an asset, right? Work your overtime right now, prepare for these things, make a resume. If you want to prepare for the absolute worst, stack a resume, start getting just prepare how you think you need to. But one thing we don't want to happen, Orlando, you know, we don't want you guys to get swept away in everything, and we don't want people to get trapped renting.
No, I definitely don't. The renting thing is it's just a means to an end for this scenario, guys. And so it's really important that you really understand. I'm all about home ownership. Real Estate Mindset is all about home ownership. Yeah. We're just telling you guys right now, it's just best if you go ahead and rent while this craziness is going on so that you can get yourself into the best possible position that you can. So one last question I have before you get out of here is, do you ever think interest rates will get back to the 2.4% interest rates that we've had for years and years and years? Do you see that coming back?
I mean, I didn't see it happening in the first time around, Orlando. So yeah, I see it coming back. I don't think it should. I don't think it should. I think hopefully we learn a lesson. Like, don't do that again. Hyper demand, right? Like there's gonna be too much demand. I really hope not, Orlando. And it should not go down. You know, any fundamental that you look at, we should not have 2% and 3% interest rates. If we do, something's wrong. Right? Like we need a little higher interest rates. It's so important not to have, it's so important for so many reasons, but regardless, I think they're going to go back down to the 4s and 5s. Once they pivot and once they get the market, depending on inventory and depending on data, I think that will be in 7 to 8s, for a year and a half ish. And when the pivot sums, they're going to put us at, 5 to 6s is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think that we are eventually going to go back, but it'll be a while before we get back down there to that 2 and 3s. I just think that the government just wants to really push, home ownership. I mean, the banks want to make money. The banks want to make money too. So everybody is kind of on the same page of the lower interest rates. It pushes people to buy homes, and home ownership in that industry, it's a lot of money. And I can't see, everybody deciding to have slower growth in that area just because of some interest rates at 5-6%. They're gonna eventually drop back, and we're gonna be in a different scenario. It's not gonna be this same scenario. It's gonna be a different scenario where XYZ happens, but this doesn't happen. Just like we're currently in right now compared to 2008. Just like we're in right now compared to 2008. But once again, man, I want to say I really appreciate you, man, for coming on the show and giving us your insight. Guys, let me tell you, make sure you go over to Real Estate Mindset's videos and make sure you watch his videos, subscribe, like his video. He has a crazy amount of information over there, guys. I really appreciate anything any last words that you want to say to the audience here before we go ahead and end it.
Just don't slow down, Orlando. I want to see you speeding up, man. I mean, we're touching a lot of people, but we're not touching enough people. There's still people that are
Right.
blinded. There's still people that are only going to Zillow. So I don't care. I mean, just go even harder, man. I mean, these people need our help. It's
Yeah,
shocking to
man,
me,
I appreciate it.
the amount of people that we're helping, man. So I would just challenge you as a content creator. Let's try to reach
Hmm.
more people, man. I mean, because they need it.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I'll go ahead and I'll definitely take you on that challenge and push out more content. I'm pretty sure my audience would love it. So, man, once again, man, Real Estate Mindset, I really appreciate you coming on. And hey, man, let's do this again, okay?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.